regional cooperation and economic resilience among focus at APEC Summit. Malaysia to capitalize on rising palm oil demands in China. Well, Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. Well, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, who is scheduled to attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC Economic Leaders Week, will emphasize the importance of regional cooperation and building economic resilience in the region amid post-pandemic and geopolitical challenges. Well, Datuk Sri Anwar will lead the Malaysian delegation to the meeting in San Francisco, California from 14th to the 17th of November. Now, the Prime Minister's office in a statement said that throughout the Premier's engagement with APEC economic leaders and at the various multilateral and bilateral platforms, the Prime Minister aims to highlight the Palestinian situation, advocating global support, humanitarian access and a just resolution to the conflict. He also set to take the opportunity to share Malaysia's priorities and principles under the Madani economy framework, emphasizing inclusivity, sustainable development and cooperation for shared prosperity. It added the 30th APEC Economic Leaders meeting is expected to adopt the APEC Leaders 2023 Golden Gate Declaration and advance efforts reflecting APEC economy's commitment to address global challenges towards realizing the APEC Putrajaya Vision 2040. The adoption of the Golden Gate Declaration is imperative as it underscores the unity and cooperation among APEC economies, particularly in light of ongoing concerns relating to, among others, the climate crisis and disruption of supply chains. In a related development, the Prime Minister is scheduled for one-on-one meetings with prominent American business leaders on the sidelines of the APEC Economic Leaders meeting. Now, the Prime Minister's office said the meetings will focus on finalizing high-value investments to create high-quality job opportunities in Malaysia in line with the government's priorities as outlined in the Madani Economy Framework and National Industrial Master Plan 2030. Well, additionally, Datuk Sri Anwar is scheduled to have bilateral meetings with several leaders of APEC economies to explore ways to further strengthen bilateral cooperation in various areas for mutual benefits. Now, the Premier is also expected to witness the exchange of an agreement between BlackBerry and the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, on cybersecurity cooperation. Meanwhile, capitalizing on Datuk Sri Anwar's presence in San Francisco, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry has also arranged for one-on-one meetings with the top management of Google, Innovex, Microsoft and TikTok. Now, these meetings aim to finalize potential investments that would create high-quality job opportunities in Malaysia in line with the strategies and objectives outlined in the Madani Economy Framework and the New Industrial Master Plan 2030. Well, former Chief of Defence Forces, or CDF General retired, Tan Sri Raja Muhammad Afandi Raja Muhammad Noor, has been named as Barisan Nasional's, or BN's, direct candidate for the Kemaman parliamentary by-election in Terengganu, which is slated for 2nd December. And BN President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi announced the name of the candidate in the nation's capital today.
Dewan Tertinggi Barisan Nasional dan juga kepimpinan tertinggi UMNO serta pengurusi-pengurusi perhubungan telah membuat kesepakatan bahawa pada kali ini kita akan mengemukakan seorang tokoh di luar daripada kepimpinan UMNO untuk kita ketengahkan sebagai calon Barisan Nasional di Kemaman.
The Election Commission, the EC, has set the polling for the by-election on 2nd December, while the nomination on 18th November and early voting on 28th November. The by-election is being called after the Terengganu Election Court nullified the victory of Che alias Hamid of PAS, who had been declared the winner of the Kemaman parliamentary seat in the 15th general election last year. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Raja Muhammad Afandi, who served in the Malaysian Armed Forces for almost 40 years, described his candidacy as a call of duty and would do his level best to win back the Kemaman seat for BN.
Juga di atas apa yang telah saya lalui ini, saya berfikir, panjang saya berfikir. Kerana saya berfikir, apabila diberikan tawaran ini, saya rasa it's about time untuk saya berikan balik apa yang ada kepada saya sepanjang 40 tahun ini balik kepada negara kita ini. Dan khususnya bagi cawangan di 04 Muhammad.
This is not the first time for BN to field a direct candidate for a by-election, as the coalition had done the same when it fielded Deputy Dewan Rakyat Speaker Dato' Ramli Muhammad Noor as a direct candidate in the Cameron Highlands parliamentary by-election in January 2019. The Malaysian Meteorological Department has issued an alert-level continuous rain warning for 4 states starting this Thursday. And in a statement today, Met Malaysia said continuous rain was expected in several areas in Kelantan and throughout Terengganu from 16th to the 18th of November. Well, it added the areas involved in Kelantan are Tumpat, Pasir Mas, Kota Baru, Jeli, Tanah Merah, Bachok, Pasir Putih and Kuala Krai. The department also said that continuous rain was expected in Pahang and Sabah from 17th to 19th November. In Pahang, the areas involved are Jerantut, Kuantan and Pekan, while in Sabah, it involves the west coast of Ranau and Kota Belud, Sandakan, places like Telupit, Kinabatangan, Beluran and Sandakan, and also Kudat. The Tuanku Permaisuri of Johor, Raja Zarith Sofia Sultan Idris, has urged for urgent actions to be taken in addressing climate change and environmental degradation. Now, speaking at the Asia Pacific Climate Week 2023 or APCW, Her Majesty said climate change and environmental degradation are the quote-unquote defining challenges of our lifetime. Raja Zarith Sofia said the geopolitical landscape is shifting and there are crises in several parts of the world. In a speech during the launch of the Johor Green Development Master Plan and the establishment of the Johor Sustainable Centre, JSC, Her Majesty said that degradation had profound impact on the people globally, thus immediate and collective action to mitigate the impending crisis were paramount.
Apart from that, JSC will also become the main platform for strategic collaborations between local and international organizations, with the state government in putting the green initiatives into action.
The APCW, jointly organized by the Johor State and Federal Governments and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, is held between 13th and 17th November at Persada Johor International Convention Centre. The event is one of 4 regional climate weeks this year, aiming to build momentum ahead of the UN Climate Change Conference in Dubai. The Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development will make it compulsory for nursery operators to contact the parents if their child is absent to prevent incidents of children being left in cars. Well, its Minister, Dato' Sri Nancy Shukri, said the standard operating procedures or SOP regarding the matter need to be updated following recent cases caused by parents forgetting to drop off their children at daycare facilities. Now, explaining further, Dato' Sri Nancy said if the parents cannot be reached, nurseries should have an additional emergency contact number to allow them to get in touch with other family members. She stressed that enforcing the SOP can, at the very least, reduce the duration the children are left in cars, thereby minimizing the risk of death compared to extended periods of 7 to 8 hours. She added that 3 cases of child death in cars have been reported from October to date. Malaysia looking to expand beyond land electric vehicles. Well, products based on palm oil are starting to gain popularity among consumers in China as the country of 1.412 billion people has started to transition into using halal products, especially its Muslim community. Deputy Prime Minister Dato' Sri Fadillah Yusof, who is also the Minister of Plantation and Commodities, well, said several approaches are in the works to capitalize on the huge opportunity.
Akan kita jumpa untuk kita bawa sama ada dengan Menteri Pertanian di sini untuk pengiktirafan dan bagaimana kita, dari segi standard, misal kata kita ada MSPO, mereka juga ada standard dari segi pertanian mereka, produk-produk pertanian, dan kalau kita dapat collaborate untuk sama-sama kita iktiraf di antara dua standard ini, maka kita akan dapat tingkatkan pengiktirafan certification kita dari segi palm oil dan juga apa-apa yang mereka ada di peringkat certification di peringkat negara China.
He said this during a press conference after chairing a meeting at Palm Oil Research and Technical Service of Malaysia Palm Oil Board of Port Sim in Shanghai. Earlier, Dato' Sri Fadillah signed the China National Accreditation Service for Conformity Assessment and China Inspection Body and Laboratory Mandatory Approval. Dato' Sri Fadillah is on his maiden official visit to China from 12th to 19th November to strengthen cooperation in R&D as well as capacity building in the field of commodities, especially in promoting the MSPO certification scheme at the global level. Meanwhile, Port Sim's General Manager Yong Jun Hao said there is a need to come up with more products based on palm oil to meet the rising demands on the global market.
On yearly basis, I can say 3 to 7 to 8 products ready to be commercialized. Yeah.
So it varies from.
But but to be 100% commercialized, we need more effort.
Well, electric vehicles, or rather the EV manufacturing sector, is being expanded to include other types of vehicles such as boats and ferries. Now, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the effort will attract more investments from battery manufacturing as well as EV assembly companies to develop country's EV ecosystem. Elaborating further, Loke said it is in line with the government's commitment of zero carbon emission by the year of 2050.
EV memang Malaysia memang kita nak menarik pelaburan dalam EV. Banyak ekosistem EV ini yang perlu kita tarik pelaburan, termasuk bateri, pengeluaran bateri, pemasangan kenderaan EV. Memang itu semua adalah satu potensi yang cukup besar untuk negara kita. Dan memang kita mengharapkan bahawa dapat kita membesarkan lagi pasaran EV ini. Jadi sekarang ini bukan saja EV untuk kenderaan darat, untuk kereta, tetapi untuk bot pun boleh pakai konsep electric boat.
He was met after witnessing an EV prototype boat, Hydro Glider, at Composites Technology City in Batu Berendam, Malacca. Well, the Labour Department, or JTK, has been instructed to take stern action against stubborn employers that refuse to pay salary to their workers. Now, Human Resources Minister V. Sivakumar said there will be no compromises regarding this issue, in line with the efforts in ensuring that Malaysia is free from forced labour practices.
Okay, perkara ini bukan pertama kali kita sebut. Kita dah sebut perkara ini berulang kali. Dan kalau ada juga majikan yang mengabaikan dan cuai dan tidak mahu berhati-hati dalam isu ini, maka tindakan tegas akan diambil dan saya tidak akan memberi pertimbangan. Okay, dan saya akan memastikan bahawa pihak JTK akan mengirim mereka ke mahkamah.
He said this at a media conference at the ministry's Deepavali celebration in Putrajaya. Previously, Indonesian ambassador to Malaysia, Dato' Hermono, said the issue of mistreatment of Indonesian domestic workers in this country needed to be immediately solved with a stricter law enforcement. About 90% of the complaints received by the Indonesian embassy were related to domestic workers, including those that did not receive their monthly salaries. Malaysian citizen in Gaza safely evacuated. Well, Nurul Ain Harun, a Malaysian citizen who was in the conflict area of Gaza with her Palestinian husband, has been safely evacuated through the Rafah border crossing. And in a statement issued today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the evacuation was successfully carried out following a meeting between Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during his working visit to Egypt on 23rd October, as well as further coordination by the Malaysian Embassy in Cairo and the Malaysian Embassy in Amman. Following this development, the Prime Minister expressed relief through a video call with the couple.
Presiden Fattah Sisi, saya minta dia mempermudahkan dan dia bagi jaminan. Ya. Nanti bila ke Malaysia, jelaskan jadi supaya ramai tahu apa keadaan dia, kezaliman yang dia lakukan. Nampak masih berterusan. Dia memang sangat-sangat.
Mula-mula saya ingat nak stay juga, tapi dah keadaan dah tak mengizinkanlah. Suami saya pun kerja untuk keluarga. Kami decide untuk keluarlah.
The Premier expressed gratitude to Abdel Fattah for facilitating the evacuation process of the couple. He also said Malaysia remains firm in supporting the Palestinians and continue efforts to gather supports in stopping the brutal killings by Israel. Well, on a related note, Egyptian security sources said the first group of foreigners and injured Palestinians evacuated after the Rafah border crossing reopened had arrived in Egypt. Well, at least 7 injured Palestinians arrived on Egyptian soil to receive medical treatment, plus more than 80 foreign nationals and dependents, with more undergoing border procedures. Now, more than 32 Egyptians also crossed over. Evacuation through the border crossing, the only entry point to Gaza not controlled by Israel, were suspended for a third time on Friday due to issues transporting injured Palestinians from northern Gaza. Foreigners and people holding second nationalities made their way to the Rafah border on Sunday to try to leave Gaza as fighting intensified in the enclave.
It's been hard for me and my brother. It's been really hard for me and my brother and other people, millions of people. We came from the north. We walked more than 5 kilometers on feet, and it's been so hard. And people were dying. We're mentally unwell. It's been really a tough time, and we really would like to go back to the United States and be safe.
Hundreds of foreign nationals and dependents and dozens of injured have passed through since the crossing began facilitating limited evacuations on 1st November. The suspensions had been due to bombardments that aid staff said hit or targeted medical convoys. Well, major ports handling 40% of Australia's freight trade have reopened 3 days after they were crippled by a cyber attack. Now, operator DP World cut its systems from the internet when the attack was detected on Friday, preventing trucks from unloading or picking up cargo at ports in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Fremantle. The firm said it had successfully tested key systems overnight before reopening. It said it expected to move 5,000 containers out of the 4 terminals during the day, not far from industry estimates of their usual daily traffic. The company said investigations and efforts to protect the systems may still cause some necessary temporary disruptions to port services in the coming days. DP World also said its investigation and remediation work were likely to take some time. While speaking in Parliament, Home Affairs and Cyber Security Minister Claire O'Neill said such incidents were concerning.
This afternoon, DP World announced that they are resuming operations at their facilities. Their expectation is that 5,000 containers will leave their ports today. Speaker, the incident at DP World is the latest in a string of cyber attacks which have shaken our country.
Shipping bodies, meanwhile, said operations at the ports had restarted slowly, with priority given to getting imported containers out of the terminals. Coming up in sports, Djokovic seals year-end top spot with win at ATP Finals match.
misi mesti menang. Semangat perjuangan terus diledakkan dalam setiap pertembungan. 14 pasukan, satu sorakan. Liga Super 2023 bersama kami di RTM, rakan penyiar NFL Liga Malaysia 2023.
And we'll start off with tennis. And Novak Djokovic eventually tamed Danish debutant Holger Rune with a 7-6, 6-7, 6-3 victory in his opening round-robin match at the ATP Finals to seal the year-end #1 ranking for a record-extending 8th time on Sunday. Now, the 36-year-old Serb was stretched to the limit at times, with Rune producing some fireworks for the large evening crowd in Turin's cavernous Pala El Pitor. Djokovic looked on course for victory when he took a brutal opening set in decisive fashion, prevailing in the tiebreak with a stunning cross-court return winner. And the match looked to have turned decisively in the third game of the second set, when after Rune won the first two, Djokovic broke back in a brilliant 11-point game, eventually won at the third attempt. Rune kept plugging away, however, and after the pair slugged each other with bigger and bigger hits, Djokovic slipped in the tiebreak, missing a simple volley to draw level on the second point and then collapsing to concede the set. But after briefly losing it for allowing Rune to break back in Game 3 of the third set, Djokovic, however, saw out the historic win. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner made a dream start to the ATP Finals with a comprehensive 6-4, 6-4 defeat of Stefanos Tsitsipas in their opening green group clash. Playing in front of his home crowd in the huge Pala El Pitor indoor arena, the world #4 was streets ahead of his opponent, even if the score looked reasonably close. Sinner served superbly throughout and struck his ground strokes with venom, needing just one service break in each set to wrap up a routine victory. Sinner wrapped up the opening set in 40 minutes, and when he broke serve at the start of the second set, he never looked like relinquishing control against a flat-looking Tsitsipas. This is the first time Sinner has qualified for the ATP Finals on merit, having replaced Matteo Berrettini in the lineup for the 2021 edition after his compatriot withdrew through injury. And on to football. Well, unbeaten Bayer Leverkusen thundered past embattled Union Berlin 4-0 on Sunday to extend their winning run to 12 matches across all competitions and move back to the top of the Bundesliga with a 2-point advantage over Bayern Munich. Now, Leverkusen are leading the title race on 31 points, with Bayern Munich in second place on 29, while VfB Stuttgart are third on 24.
Boniface slightly loose with the touch, but
in form, Alejandro Grimaldo rifled in from outside the box in the 23rd minute to put the hosts in front, with Leverkusen missing several more chances in a strong first half. Odilon Kosunu headed in another goal in the 57th minute after Jonathan Tah volleyed in at the far post in the 73rd to put the game to bed. Now, the hosts were not yet done, and substitutes Amine Adli and Nathan Teller combined on a quick break, with the latter drilling in from a tight angle in the 83rd. Xabi Alonso's team, who have scored at least twice in each of their league matches so far this season, have now won their last 7 Bundesliga games. Union's 9th straight league loss saw them drop to 18th place, level on 6 points with Cologne. Well, Manchester City were thwarted by Cole Palmer's 95th minute penalty as Chelsea salvaged a 4-4 draw from an incredible clash on Sunday. Well, a share of the spoils at Stamford Bridge leaves City 1 point ahead of Liverpool, who beat Brentford 3-0, and Arsenal at the top of the table. Pep Guardiola's men went in front in controversial fashion as Erling Haaland slotted home a penalty. Thiago Silva powered home from a corner to equalise before Reece James pounced on an error from Josko Vardiol to set up Raheem Sterling to net against his former club. Chelsea's lead did not last until the break as Manuel Akanji was afforded acres of space to head in Bernardo Silva's cross. City were back in front less than 2 minutes into the second period as Haaland slid in to meet Julian Alvarez's cross from his 17th goal in 18 games this season. The Blues responded once more as Nicholas Jackson snapped up a gift from Edison after the Brazilian goalkeeper parried Conor Gallagher's shot back into the danger zone. Rodri's deflected effort on 86 minutes looked to have finally settled the game in the visitors' favour. But Ruben Diaz was penalised for diving in on Armando Broja in added time, and Palmer showed no sign of nerves as he hammered home the spot kick. And on to motorsports, and what's good about it, it's here on home soil. Now, the three-day Malaysian Motorcycle Grand Prix, or GP 2023, officially concluded yesterday, drawing 182,912 spectators to the Sepang International Circuit, or the SIC. And the SIC Chief Executive Officer, Azhan Shavriman Hanif, said he is grateful for everyone's efforts in making this season's event a success, which resulted in a higher attendance than the previous year's total of 163,567. He said following the success, SIC will now focus on making the track better based on the recommendations of Dorna Sports, the holder of MotoGP's exclusive commercial and television rights, and the International Motorcycle Federation, the FIM, before the 2024 pre-season test, which starts in February next year. Azhan said FIM and Dorna Sports recommended turns 7 and 9 need some improvements before next year. SIC drew a total of 21,364 spectators on Friday, followed by 70,911 on Saturday and 90,637 yesterday. In yesterday's race, Ducati Lenovo team rider Enea Bastianini picked up his first silverware of the season after being crowned the 2023 Malaysian MotoGP champion. Better Tools Speed-Up's Fermin Adejo won the Moto2 title, and Colin Vaya of Liquimoli Husqvarna Intact GP won the Moto3 class.
76 minit tanpa henti, 76 minutes non-stop. Transparent and concise. Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744, 7.44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam. Malaysia Tonight, 8:30 p.m.
Well, that's it from us this evening in our top story. Well, regional cooperation and economic resilience among focus at APEC Summit. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.